Why, hello there, all. Anybody watching, whatever, sure. Anybody wants to say hi, say hi. Where was I? I'm already going off track. Nice Tale here. That's who I am, right? Yes, I remember. I'm bringing you a summary of a knife I've done a full review on. The full review will be linked down below. And more importantly than that, I hope this video finds you well. This is the Finch knife Reciprocity. Bit of a long knife name, but for a very small knife, it's quite small. Just a quick touch, as I said. Full review will be linked down below, and then full specs in more depth will be done. This is just a quick summary. 3 and maybe an eighth. You have basically 3 inches of cutting edge. Just barely 7 inches overall. I really like what Finch does, but there is one thing I want to talk about, but I'll save that toward the end. What do we got here? You got, I'm going to call that a Wharncliffe blade shape. It's somewhere right in between, like, sheep's foot, where the hump is really far forward, and the Wharncliffe, which is actually supposed to start its hump further back. It's kind of a sheep's footy thing. Sure. It's somewhere. You can probably get away with either one. Otherwise, all I know is it's got a very narrow pokey tip, which is definitely more Wharncliffe in overall, but yeah, whatever. Great tip access, straight edge for your cutting edge. Decently thin, though it does get thick relatively quickly. I mean, you can see how low this grind is on this blade. If it was a full flat grind, they might have been able to get a little more life out of it, but for a light-duty, sort of gentlemanly kind of almost budget knife, I mean, that's what Finch does. Almost budget knives that are just a little more elegant looking, but keep some of the minimalistic, more budget end of things, so they're a little bit more attainable and affordable. This one is a flipper tab, but it also has this slot in the blade that, of course, I mean, it's a nail neck, but you can definitely reverse lick off of that. It is in 154 cm steel, which is good steel, mid-grade steel. Definitely a little bit closer to the budget, but good stuff. But again, it is appreciated because this is slightly over budget. Pricing wise, yeah, this steel is right around where it's supposed to be. It says the Reciprocity on it doesn't need to say that. It says Finch there. Probably doesn't need to say that considering it says it right there with the giant F shields, but it does. A little bit of branding, not bad, but a little bit. I really like the heavy, like, reflective, almost frosty stonewash they did here, and satin. I don't know if what is that? That's, if it's a belt satin or a hand satin. I mean, it's a horizontal, it's usually hand satin, but who knows, on this price point, it might be probably just be belt satin. And then the spine of the knife is also kind of frosty satin, which is kind of nice. Little, and that's some variation, some dynamic kind of flow to things. You've got jimping up here, which actually does work pretty well. You've also got jimping here that you can definitely just grip onto to get right behind that blade and be super comfortable and locked in, and the jimping lets you know exactly where you are. The jimping also works out pretty well, though. I mean, this jimping is purely for your finger in the open position, but this works out decently well, despite them not jimping the apex here. It's a reliable not front flipper, but rear flipper. The stop pins are internally mounted to the blade. It runs on bearings. This is a steel frame lock. Nice satin on the steel, too. Well, it's a steel bolster lock, I suppose. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as a frame lock, but liners, frame, whatever. And in this case, this one has the Tidal Blue resin, I believe they called it, as the inlays, and the Finch shield, which most Finch knives have, and the Finch shields, I doubt I'm going to be able to show it to you. I don't actually, I really need to get like a strong flashlight. I don't have an EDC flashlight, but the shields glow in the dark on the knives that they are on, and a lot of the times Finch puts them on a good portion of their knives. So, and I mean, a good shield's always appreciated, something you can appreciate. It's nice looking. Standoffs, there is no hidden lanyard hole, and there's not a reversible pocket clip, so one right-handed tip up only. The pocket clip, however, is milled titanium, if I remember correctly. Is this titanium? I'm pretty positive this is titanium. Yes, milled titanium. I thought I was right there. Good flex, good retention, really good pocket clip. It's a little bit low, which, I mean, I don't mind because that really only excludes really thick pants, and this is not necessarily the kind of knife you put in super thick pants, but I prefer it low and comfortable over giant and fits everything but sticks out like a sore thumb. Handle ergonomics are super, super neutral. It's basically a straight edge. Getting in and out of the pocket's not a deep carry clip. It's sort of medium carry. It's pretty easy, and you got a little bit of like texture from the pocket clip to actually grip onto. It does add a little bit of traction because the resin itself is pretty slick. There is no actual like cutout on the lock bar side, but there is a cutout giving you better access to the lock bar, which is actually pretty good. You have surprisingly good access, despite it really not looking like much. It's very easy to disengage from the side. The bearings are pretty good. There's no play. Now, the one thing that I wanted to mention with Finch knives, and this is not necessarily a problem, and it's not necessarily going to be on every model, and it's not necessarily something that you have to worry about. However, I will need to talk about this as it is my experience. This is, what is this, the second or third Reciprocity I've had. And I believe it's the third, actually. All of the others, the two others, had the same issue, and this one I imagine would probably also have the same issue if I flipped it enough times in a row. Something about the pivot on these things, I don't know if it's the stop pin not being housed tightly enough or something, but after I got the original one of these, and flipped it for a while, I mean, I just spend some time flipping and getting used to my knife, right? Well, I flipped it for a while, and as I noticed that it started getting tighter, and tighter, and tighter, and feeling weird. It started not deploying as well. That was on purpose, by the way. And it started not dropping. I couldn't even shake it shut. It would basically get stuck. And I contacted Finch, which was good. Great customer service there. They said, that sounds really strange. It sounds like it needs a pivot adjustment, like something's off in the, I mean, I don't know what kind of a pivot adjustment they were going to do. I mean, I played with the pivot to see if I could tweak it, but nothing I did worked other than give it play. So, they said that it needed some sort of pivot adjustment. Like, it wasn't holding the blade straight or something. I got a second one. It did the exact same thing. This one, while it is a little dry in there, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of a hang-up spot right there. This one's pretty good. It hasn't done any of that. It stayed straight. There's no play. I mean, I've purposely avoided sitting down and just flipping it 100, 200 times in a row to try and throw off the pivot, but it just seems strange that happened. This is anecdotal. It is evidence among 2 out of 3, right? Of this particular model. I can't say about anything else. But it is something to note that if it starts getting real tight or like real weird feeling in the pivot, maybe you've got a funky one? I don't know. I have very limited experience with Finch otherwise, and I'm not going to say that it's a bad thing or it's a consistent thing or anything of the sort. I can't tell you. I don't know. All I can tell you is the experience I had. So, pay attention to it. Maybe don't push this knife to your Finch knives that are maybe with the steel or internal stop pins, something, I don't know. Don't sit there and fidget with them for hours, maybe. This is a sort of a lighter use knife in general, so maybe that's what you should stick to with these things. No milling on the frame and the plunge grind and sharpening choke. It has a sharpening choke, and it is a little bit in front of the end of the plunge, but I mean, it's not amazing. You're definitely going to make more plunge. However, stop pins attached to the blade, so you can certainly do that. Overall, these things tend to come in, Finch knives in general tend to come in anywhere from, like, just outside of budget territory, which is usually around $75, and up to 120-ish, depending on the model. So there's probably something you can find in there for you. They've got some interesting models. I just have a trouble finding some of them in stock sometimes. So if I can link this down below, I will. Because it's a good knife, but I did have a weird experience. Just had to mention that. That's all from me. And in fact, the Finch is going back in its box. It tends to sit there when it's not in my pocket. And I'm going to end things here. Say thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. I greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. And have a great day. See ya. I'm done for now. Bye-bye.